Welcome. Before we get started, just want to let you know that if you have a specific use case in mind, something that you're thinking about running in your business, keep it in the back of your head, and we'll go back to that a little bit later on and maybe have you do an exercise. So, I'm Chuck Boyce, Cibi Creative. This is another episode of the Tuesday Pulse AI. I've added a smaller track. If you've been to any of these before, the A track focuses on applications in AI, things that to be aware of. The B is more the business aspect, and the C is now a new one that just talks about the why, the when, the where, and who's responsible for AI in a small business. And so um, this one is a session called AI That Holds Up. It's a simple premise. There are use cases that work for a business of small business size. And I'm talking the 5 to 30 type employee, but there's a lot that don't. The difference usually isn't the tool, it's the conditions were right before the tool went in. And so today I'll show you how to build a filter. AI that holds up, how to tell if a use case is worth it before you buy anything. Simple premise. The difference isn't the tool again, it's the conditions that surround the tool. And so today is the first session. This is where we build the filter of what's going to hold up, what use cases will work, and then every other session in the C track will apply asking or answering different questions. But this is going to be the foundational session. So start with something that most AI content skips. The demo looked great. It worked. Everything was beautiful. They almost always do. The vendor tested it, they've refined it, they showed you the version where everything went right. What they didn't show you was month 3. This is when the person who ran the pilot moved to a different role. The data was clean for the demo, turned out to be an exception. When the first real edge case came through, nobody knew what to do with it. So a lot of small business owners get to 3 months in and they can't figure out what went wrong. The tool's the same, the training's the same, they saw the demo, but something's differently, usually many things. This session shows you how to evaluate a use case before you ever get to a demo. If you're already past that point, still applies. You're running in reverse. So you're in the right place if you're evaluating AI for a specific workflow but not sure if it's ready. You've rolled something out, you're not confident it's working, or your team is using AI tools that you didn't approve and you need a framework to sort it out. All 3 situations need the same thing. It's a filter. And if you're not familiar with the last one, your team is using AI, that's also called shadow AI. And shadow AI slips into businesses without them knowing, and it causes potential problems, which people don't foresee. So, let's go to the next slide. It's not wanting me to advance. Great. Here's the thing I want you to hold on to. It's not whether AI works. AI does work, but in specific conditions. The AI can be very useful, it can save real time, it can reduce real errors, and they exist. And I'm not here to say that don't do AI, it's do it in the right conditions. And so AI does work, but does it work in your business or the business use case that you're thinking of? So here's how you work with that. Every demo looks great, and that's the big problem. Vendors design the demos to succeed. They've run through it many, many times. They have clean data, and it just makes it look so much better. So they pick a use case that shows the tool in the best light. They use clean, consistent data, often data they built specifically for the demo. They've run a prompt dozens of times, and they know which ones work and which ones to avoid. So they've removed edge cases. They don't have any extreme possibilities. They just show you here is a clean, consistent, pre-tested situation that works the same every time. And so that is not a real business. Your business has data that was entered 3 different ways depending on who was working that day. You may have people who enter information into your CRM or your inventory systems. They use a different numbering sequence. They enter data with different names of cities. Like I'm in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Somebody might spell out Mount, and others might put MT. So the people entering the data is inconsistent, and about 15% of the time, nobody is documenting the proper way to do it. Three different people doing the same task will probably do it slightly differently. Your business has a team member who will use it just a little bit different than somebody else. And no matter who is trained, but training gets forgotten. Demos don't show you any of that. They show you a use case that works and that they're trying to sell to you. You need the filter. So the filter are 4 conditions. Every use case has to meet them. Want to be clear that this isn't a checklist that you complete once and file it away. It's a filter you apply actively before you commit to a tool, before you expand on something that's already running, or to your team shows up with something they found on their own. Somebody says, hey, I found this really great tool. But the use case doesn't clear all 4 conditions. That means you don't ever do it. It's just a gap, and the gap needs to be filled. So, starting with use condition 1. Is the task defined, and is it repeatable? A very easy sounding situation. The more specific the task, the more clearly you can evaluate whether AI can handle it consistently, and consistency is the whole game here. If the task is different every time, the output will be different every time, and the review burden goes to the person who is responsible for your AI. So the test question is, can you describe this task in 1 sentence without using the word various? And if you can get that, the task isn't defined enough, but it's fixable. So just describe a task that can be said in 1 sentence, and it can be repeatable and trained. If you can train a human on it and they can do it repeatably, you can train an AI to do the same. So condition 2 is, are errors catchable before they cause damage? Now this is the worst realistic. It's not catastrophic, but it's a bad one, because when everybody thinks about what happens when AI works, almost nobody thinks about what happens when it doesn't work. So recoverable things are drafts that need to be rewritten. Somebody looks at what AI wrote, said that's not quite right, and they change it, it's recoverable. If you send an invoice with the wrong client name, the wrong pricing, outdated information, a compliance document that hallucinated a regulation, those are not recoverable. Those are going to harm your finances or your reputation, or you may lose a client. That's where you have to have that human in the loop, and you have to have a review step when that happens. And it doesn't just exist on paper. It's now. Who catches it and when? If the answer that you're asking this question about is probably someone will notice, that's not a review process. By the time it's catch it, it's already gone out, and now you're doing repair rather than preventing before it happens. So the review is not optional. It's what separates AI that holds up from AI that creates extra work. So people who think that they're saving time or firing people because of AI, you're probably rehiring people to catch the AI mistakes. Condition 3 is they're human. This one is really huge. A lot of people avoid this, but you do need ownership. This is the one that breaks a lot, because people get transferred, they change jobs, teams change, your business structure may change, but people own things. And so if you came up with a specific use case and say the name of the person who owns the output, not the team, not the department, but a single person, someone who, when bad output goes out, that's the first call. So say the name loud. If you hesitated, that's your answer. You need a named person to be responsible for the AI output. And that adds you need an AI person to be able to monitor and manage the context and the prompting and the guidelines, guardrails, everything else. So you do need a named AI person on your team, in your business, in your department, whatever level you're at. So condition 4 is the data's going in something. Can you explain? So when you use AI, especially a third-party tool, especially a free one, the data goes somewhere. It gets processed somewhere. Depending on the tool or plan, it may be retained for data model training. So you have to ask the vendor. You have to say, if you're using AI, are you sending this up to OpenAI or Anthropic? Are they able to train on your data? This is where the shadow AI comes in. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just saying that most owners generally haven't read the privacy policies of what tools their team is using, and sometimes they don't even know what tools the team is using. And this is especially bad in the free versions because by default, everybody wants you to provide data that they can train their models and make it better. And so you'll always see something hidden somewhere in the settings that says that, do you want to make our product better? Do you want to make it better for other people? Do you want to train? They rarely make it easy to find because they are starved for new training sources. And so if the client asked where the data goes when you process through this tool, if you have to say, I'd have to check, that means it's too late. So it could be a client, it could be a regulator, it could be your insurance carrier. If you're getting cyber security insurance, if you're in a regulated world of HIPAA or FERPA or SOC 2 or any of the other ones, if a regulator comes up to you and asks where the data is or where it went to or who processed it, you need a policy. A privacy policy tells you that. It's worth reading before it goes out of a test process and into a production. So it's something to definitely be aware of. So here again, is the task definable? Is it repeatable? Can you train a human to do it consistently? Can AI be trained consistently? Number 2, the errors are catchable before they cause damage. Do you have that human maintenance, that human in the loop to verify data going out? That brings to number 3, is there a human who owns the output and controls the input too? The data going in, is it something you can explain where it's being stored or processed? Are you doing this on a locally sourced LLM that's on your private data, or is it going out to Google or Anthropic or any of the other vendors that may want to use it for training? And so, again, once you can ask and answer these questions, you can find out where there are gaps and fill in the gaps before you hit a production mode. So, filters don't fix the demo problem. Vendors know how to answer these questions. A sophisticated vendor will be able to walk through this filter and will give you answers that sound right. And they'll know how to frame the task. They'll tell you the errors are manageable. They'll suggest you assign ownership, which I'm suggesting. But none of this is the same as being what's happening in your business. A filter is only as good as the honesty you bring into it. A condition technically met but fragile, a review step that only works if one specific person is available. If there's data governance that relies on everybody doing the exact right thing informally, just document, apply the filter, not with the vendor in the room, before the demo, come up with these questions, definitely before you sign a contract. So, the shadow AI. Your team might be already using AI for this. And so somebody normally discovers where the tools come from and they may introduce it to your company. Or if the way to introduce a new tool to your company is problematic, they may be using it at home and entering your data. So if you don't know what tools they're using, you don't know what their skill level is about AI, there may be a junior developer somewhere in your system or a admin person who loves AI. They spend all their time on the weekends doing it there, and you don't know because you've never asked. They may be the ideal person. So instead of hiring an AI person at $150,000 a year, and you have a junior person who could be trained in your business processes that's already hired, you could give them a raise and save money. But most businesses will say you can't use AI. It may be very useful and there may be a great use case for it, but if you shut it down before getting the input from the employees of where it might work and where it may be beneficial, then they're going to be using it off at home. They're going to be writing proposals or something like that because you put a roadblock in their way and they're not being able to do their job as effectively as they think they should be able to be if they had the AI tool. And so this isn't just gut reaction. This is what's really happening out there. So think of an AI use case that you've been evaluating, or even if you're running it right now, and apply these 4 conditions. Can you actually define the task? Can you describe it in one sentence? Can it be trained? And can it be automated, or can AI be brought into the picture? Find your reviewer. Do you have somebody who's responsible for the output? A named person, documented named person. What is the worst bad data could happen? Is it going to cause regulatory problems? Is it going to cause reputational problems? Is it going to be a financial situation? Is it an employee situation? There's a lot of different things that could be brought into the picture if you bring AI or automation in. And so think about the worst possible situation as an edge case and see how this idea works against that extreme edge case. You have to think bigger than just like, let's get the proposals out faster, or let's onboard our clients faster, or whatever you're using as that. But then the next thing is to trace the data. Where is the data going? Where is it being processed? Who sees it? If it's in a regulated environment, do you have the business agreements signed about where the data is going? Is it retrievable? Does the vendor own the data once they send it? Are you able to retrieve your data, delete the data from their site? There's a lot of things that most businesses don't ask. And so you don't have to share these, but just think about these as you're thinking about your AI and your use cases that you're thinking about doing this. And this, again, it could be AI, it could be automation, but the task has to be defined with a reviewer, understanding the risk, and being able to understand where the data is going. So if a condition fails, again, this is not saying don't do AI, because you just have a gap. And it's easy to fix gaps. And normally the ease of fixing a gap tends to be in documentation. Fully documented your workflows. Get them privacy policies. Get your app use cases. Document them. Put them in a shared directory, whether it's a drive or a box or whatever, where make sure that your employees know where to find the resources, train them on it, create a training log. When were these people trained on these processes of how to use AI, and have them sign off on it? Do this every few months, see where skills have changed, but you have to document these things in order to make them repeatable. So one use case takes you 15 minutes. If you can walk away from this with one case in mind and you want to apply the filter, it's no pitching, no pressure. It's just, if you have an idea and you want someone like me to review it, again, no pitch, no pressure. I'll help you walk through what you're trying to do and see if it's realistic. So that would be just set up an appointment. And here's a few other resources for you to use. I have a few different assessments. One is the 3-minute blind spot. It's just 25 questions. If you fail on 2 of the 5 for each of the 5 sections, then you're not quite ready for it. This you'll get a small report, very quick. The next one is the AI decision checkpoint. This is the assessment. This one is a little bit longer because it starts by asking about the process that you are wanting to improve. And so there's 4 questions about the process before it goes into talking about, are you ready for it? This builds you a roadmap of readiness of how you want to address this situation that you're thinking about AI fixing. And then you're already on this Tuesday Pulse if you want to have other people know about this. Once you register, you're registered for as long as the sessions last. And there's also a YouTube channel. I normally get this up within 24 hours. So you can review all of the other sessions that have happened in the past. And again, I have the 3 different levels. There's some on apps, which may talk about agents or MCP servers or what security issues you may run into. The B sessions are more the business, the 5 blind spots, how to figure out where your blind spots are and resolve them before you implement. And then the C sessions an hour, the who, what, when, where, why of bringing AI into your business. And so next few sessions that I run through are going to be continuations about building this foundation. You now have the filter. You can understand what you need to ask to bring AI into your environment. And so we'll continue next week. And on that, I'm going to stop sharing